Good afternoon and welcome to today's class. Today we'll be looking at project programming and project forecast. With project programming, what it entails is looking at how you as the architect will put a project together to write certain dates and programs for certain things to happen for the duration of the time of the project. Okay, so as we get into it, a project program is basically easy from the offset. What you do need to do is you would have to think of headings and subheadings for certain tasks that needs to happen in the project. If we had to look at the SACAP breakdown of the 6 stages in the architectural profession, it's from stage 1 to 6, where stage 1 would be inception, all the way to stage 6, which would be closeout. Now, during those 6 stages, you, as a practicing architect, you would actually break that up into certain dates and weeks, etc., and certain time frames and deadlines that you would need to get the project underway. So you would break up those 6 stages so that you could understand what you need to do and how you would allocate the time to it according to a project program, so that for yourself and for your client, you would actually know what is the requirement and the overall forecast for the project. Now, in front of you, I've written an example program for a project. This is not a specific project in any situation. This is just an example that was written so that I can help you and assist you with what you need to do for the class today. So, before we look at the program that I have written, just to give you a bit of a heads up, is for the project that you have for project 2, you would have to write a project program for project 2. Now, we are about 2/3 in the project. We've done the analysis of the existing structure, of the site analysis, etc. You have done the design application, the theory behind it, and the construction drawings. Now you would have to do the project program so that you could put the project together, and you do it for the construction to see what needs to happen when it actually gets built at the university and then sent to site. Now, there are 2 parts of this program. It's going to be part of the program you're going to do from this day forth, how you would actually build the unit, the material and the facades that you had to design, how you would actually take on the task of applying it to the project after project program and to your delivery on site. So that is the second part of the project program. The first part is actually going back dating and actually writing a program for yourself to say, okay, once the project was handed out, how many weeks do you have to do analysis? How many weeks do you have or days to do your as-built drawings, design application, construction drawings, and then which will lead to the second part, which is the writing the program for construction at the university and going to site. All right, so let's get into a basic program that I have written just to show an example. So yeah, as you can see, by administration and introduction, macroanalysis, microanalysis, design process oversight, design development process oversight. Now, these are the main headings for certain tasks that need to be done individually. However, part of administration introduction, you have certain subheadings that need to be done for that task. Microanalysis, you have certain subheadings that need to be done for that task. So these are the tasks that need to be done in the following order, preferably in the order that has been listed as I have shown, and you actually assign certain dates to those orders and a due date. Now, this is just a project program application that I use. It's not to say this is what you need to use. You can use whatever project program you want to use. The most basic one is Excel, that everyone writes a project program on that. This is just a digital form of a project program. For example, if I go and I click on big picture, now this is where my program has been written for itself. So those are all those headings that you saw, plus those headings now have those individual tabs underneath them. What is great about that, I can assign certain members to a task so that individuals get appointed for those tasks as what they would need to do. You would give it a certain date and a due date for what you need to do, and they will most probably overlap one another. So as you go on into the weeks plus the tasks that you have, eventually you'll see a project program to see, okay, in this week these 3 or 4 items need to take place, in this week these 2 items, etc., and it's an escalating process. So do be aware that certain tasks will actually overlap. So this task had to be done while these tasks had to be done too. And then you write the whole program. Everything will lead on another for the information of previous information that leads on. As for example, site existing, all of this was how you would study the existing site. Then existing site analysis, the concept theory, concept development. But even through concept theory, construction documentation is already to start into play, because you're applying certain materials that would be needed for whatever needs to be needed. Same with bill of quantities. You would start thinking of the costing of a project, costing and financial establishment from cost development. So all of this has leaded on to what needs to be done for the project. And you can see over the weeks it just moves on and on and on until there's a final closeout of the construction at the end. All right. Okay, so I have written a basic title heading program for you guys to indicate what are the headings that you guys need to put into your documentation for your submission for what you need. And these are the headings that you will look at starting from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, underneath these headings is the headings that you will decide what needs to be allocated in those headings. If it's inception and documentation, would be, for example, receiving the brief on what day, analyzing the brief and seeing what you need to do. Concept and technical research, studying Marley's materials and looking at the concept and the design aspect. Construction documentation is what you're busy with now. It is compiling construction documentation. Then even in the days that you have, or like 2 weeks, you say site plan, floor plan, elevations, etc. Assign those as subheadings and then assign it to your program to say what days that are required for it. Project program and administration, this is where you are now. Part of phase 4 is you need to write a program. So as one of your subheadings, you would say writing a program for the next 2 days and get everything in order like this. We need to assign teams. With what I mean with assigning teams, all the individuals in your class, take the class list, seeing who they are. For your project, specifically for your project, you would need to assign certain members to do certain tasks. That is, if the members are good at administration, if it's members that are good at construction, if it's members that are good at project management, you would think as your professional team, which is your class members, see who would you assign to do certain tasks. Remember, and the tasks are not from construction drawings or concept. It's now from construction at the university to delivery on site to construction on site and the closeout. Who would you use or assign? Not use, who would you assign to certain tasks? Please assign certain members as part of your assignment that you need to do. Okay, phase 5, give us a basic program to say, okay, on this day we will arrive at site to do pre-inspection and see if the site is clear. Then the next day we would bring all material from university. However, we're still constructing at university and the first batch of materials will be sent to site. Construction phase 2 is now delivery of materials have been placed in the prefabricated material. We will need 1 to 2 weeks to do construction on site. Construction phase 7, construction phase 3 is doing the last form of construction and wrapping everything up and bringing everything, the last form of things from the university, and doing the last parts of the construction. It's doing construction closeout. It's to give the occupancy of that space back to the user. Post-construction documentation, that is when you guys will document the existing building and adapt it to your construction drawings. It's like as-built documentation, except it is what is now built and what is constructed. You will do construction drawings appropriate to what is built. That will still apply to your site plan, your sections, your floor plans, etc. You're basically documenting what was built and you're putting it in construction documentation form. Phase 9 is a closeout and report. This is the final assignment that you need to provide, not at the end of this project, but at the end of construction throughout the year. So project 2 will still be introduced to you. We'll come back to project 2 at the end of the year. Not at the end of the year, at the end of construction for project 2. Then you need to compile a final closeout report. This will include your as-built drawings, specifications, calculations, this project program, and the final project report with photos, documentation, etc. Your assignment that you need to hand in with all the documentations for project 2's deadline will be added and basically already been done for what you need to do for phase 9 closeout. Alright, so today's class is very simple, it's very easy. You just need to write a project program with these headings in whatever medium you want to. If it's in Excel, if it's in this program, it does not matter. It just needs to be in a digital format that I can see. You need to give subheadings to your main headings. You need to assign dates and times to them to see how the program would run. You would have to assign teams, certain individuals to certain tasks that need to happen for the project, and have an overall project timeline for project 2. Alright, that wraps up today's class. Very simple, very easy. I will be available to discuss this afternoon.